want to do the honors or
what honors?
What?
Welcome back to the Daily Vexed podcast.
This is.
No, you go ahead. It's all yours.
All right.
I think you do it better. I
think you did a great one last time.
Does it have to be
Dwight
that
intro?
I don't know.
We don't have to. We can just say. I can just do this right now.
I'm reticent. Is that right?
Like I can fade in on this, like literally right now, and we can just go. This is the Terribly Vexed podcast with me, Justin, and
Joshua Branson.
That's you.
Are you doing it right now?
That's it. We're done. That little bit of an intro is over.
Fantastic.
All right.
I'm glad that's over with.
Yeah, let's just get to it. This is gonna be a longer one, I think.
Yeah. And this is your baby.
Well, let's start off. Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
How was your week?
Great.
All right.
As great as it can be.
I'm still alive from the vaccine.
Yeah, you are.
Arm is no longer sore.
That's good.
All right. Anything notable
in
your life that you want
personal
that we can discuss before we get into this?
Let me think about that for just a sec. No, I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think there's anything going on.
Well, all right then.
That I'd like to mention here.
Fair enough. I get that. All right. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what are we going to be talking about in this episode?
That's what I was just going to say. We're going to talk about the Ariel school encounter.
Ooh.
UFOs. Right. Aliens.
Yeah.
All kinds of weird, wacky stuff. This is the one that was in Zimbabwe. Was it Rua?
Rua, Zimbabwe.
Rua. I think you roll the R.
Rua.
Yeah, there you go.
Rua, Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Which I had some info here on the exact location. It's it's about 20 miles. Miles. A lot of kilometer talk in this, but I'm going to stick with
a lot of
American measurements.
We're going.
here.
Oh, okay, we're not going to go metric.
We can try. I just don't know it. Meters, kilometers.
We didn't convert prior to.
No. Anyways, yeah. It's near the capital of Harare or Harar. I've heard it pronounced two different ways. I don't know. It was at the Ariel Primary School. Correct.
Correct.
I saw you looking at notes, like you were double checking.
No, I don't have those notes in front of me now.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm glad you're setting the scene here.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It was, I believe,
as we're not doing a video with our podcast, we need to sort of describe the layout. I think of the school would be a good idea, and
right?
Which we will when we get into that here in just a minute. But
yeah, so this was a primary school, younger.
I think
students.
The age ranges were 5 to 12.
5 to 12. And there were 62 of them that were involved with this encounter.
Roughly. I've seen a couple of different numbers on that too. But roughly about 60.
60 to 65,
yeah.
Let's say. But 62 is the number I see popping up more than.
And this was a mass UFO sighting.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm looking at my notes here, if I can just inject for a moment.
Do it.
Something real quick. It's the mass sighting is, I think, more believable than 100%. An individual sighting. And the age ranges we're looking at here, 5 to 12, they don't really have a background in trying to get their little 15 minutes of fame. They weren't thinking in terms of like, hey, we need to all come up with a little plan here and a little story and concoct something for the...
Right. They had no reason to, really.
So, yeah, like the mass sightings, when you have those, you could have a person over here and a person over here. They don't even know each other, but they're seeing or reporting on the same thing. I think that's a more interesting case to look at. If one were going to start looking at the UFO stuff.
For sure. And this
you're the UFO guy.
Well, you keep saying that.
You are.
People are going to think that I'm some genius, but I'm not at all.
That you're in this so deep.
Yeah. I'm not one of those wackos that, just constantly, they're just constantly looking into this.
But I'm glad you...
It interests me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this one up first, too, because, I'm not really a UFO guy, but this one is just really unique.
It's a tough one to argue.
Very much so.
There's no reason, like you said, no reason it would be faked. Why these children would lie about everything that happened.
They have no motivation to do this whatsoever.
Except for one, which I'll get to later. And maybe it has something to do with my final thought as well. I have
Justin's final thought.
I have Justin's final thought written down on this. It's ready to go, and we'll save that for the end. A little tease, but anyways, let's just get on to
wait.
the story. What?
Hold that, just one sec.
Yeah.
So you brought this one up to me. This was like last fall, I guess, right? It was when you first mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
I just want to get this. I got a few points I want to get out of the way.
Okay.
Before we get rolling on this, and so I would say probably like November, December of last year, and I thought, because I'm not UFO guy, but I was like, okay, I'll look into this, right? Again, I'm not UFO guy. If somebody were going to start looking into UFO stories, I would tell them, I would say go for this one first because it is so unique. You don't get a lot of where you have children all recounting the same story like this. I mean, if you're thinking about like adults, they may have motivation to come up with a little fanciful tale to get their 15 minutes of fame because a lot of people do that. Even legitimate researchers look at these, and they say, out of so many stories, these were probably fake, but these were unique, these were real, these, So this is one of those where it's, if you're going to look into UFOs, I would start with the Ariel School. I'd start with this podcast.
Oh, for sure.
Because we dug deep on this one.
Yeah.
And but so you mentioned it, and then like a few months ago, Joe Rogan's podcast, I think it was 1574. He had a guy on by the name of James Fox, who may have done that documentary that you were looking at.
Yep, I just watched it. It's called The Phenomenon. He was going to do a whole documentary just on this, the Ariel School, but
did you listen to that podcast on Joe Rogan?
I did not.
I
saw like clips of it. I didn't listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, I was the one part. I think that one of the clips is on YouTube where he was talking with the director of that documentary, and Jacques Vallée,
French guy,
who is a computer scientist, an astronomer, and he is also in, of course, to UFO research as well. I just thought it was weird. You mentioned that like last fall, and then Joe Rogan's got the podcast where this guy's doing this documentary on the thing because I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it's like you said.
And it was, he said like in 97, so this would have been like, 3 years after the thing happened, he tried to get a hold of Spielberg, and Spielberg directed him to this particular case. He wouldn't do the interview because, he's Steven Spielberg, and this guy was a nobody, and he wouldn't interview him for whatever it was he was doing at the time.
Right.
And so he sent him to this one, the Ariel School case, and said, you need to look into this one. And I just thought that was really weird that there's kind of this Ariel School stuff they're talking about it again after all these years.
Because
had you seen anything prior to like when you mentioned it, like when we were talking about doing an episode on UFO stuff, had you like seen anything, or is this just one that you've just...
This is just one I knew about. And like you said, it's like one of the best ones to go to. It's hard to...
It really is.
It's hard to see how this could not be real.
Something happened.
Something definitely happened, for sure.
Yeah.
But...
So, anyway, I just wanted to mention that, Joe Rogan podcast, he did have this guy on there, and they were talking about this, and it's just... Yeah. It is probably, I would say, top 5.
For sure.
I mean, it's up there with the, I guess, Betty and Barney Hill and some of the other bigger ones where, you know.
And this isn't the only school one. There's actually a lot of other ones, but this is the one. This is the biggest one for sure because there was like direct contact with a being of some sort. There's one in Westall, Australia. It was very similar to this one.
I think they mentioned that one too, yeah.
Yeah, I've been like 100 students or something like that saw these craft. And
I think that one was 300 actually.
300, yeah. It was a lot.
Because I just saw that one just this morning, yeah.
But there was no contact with another being of some sort. They just saw the craft and it
wasn't like this.
Yeah, not like
And
Ariel
this one is creepy
all.
as hell. It needs to be said that this is creepy and weird, and there's just so much that's just like I said, if you're not into it, start with this one. And there's a lot of information out there about it.
A lot of big names in this one too, for sure. A lot of Harvard. There's a Harvard psychiatrist guy, psychologist,
Dr.
child
John
psychologist, John E. Mack.
And we'll talk about him here in a little bit.
Johnny. I had to do it. I'm sorry.
Johnny boy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him and the unfortunate what happened to him too.
Yeah. But yeah. So this one, and before we get into the actual day that this happened, this is which happened on September 16th, 1994. But for days prior in Zimbabwe, there were hundreds of sightings. There were you can go online and you can see video of these craft, these orbs and lights flying over Zimbabwe.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah. Prior to
the big event.
This event. Exactly. So something's like, I don't know, were they just flying around like looking for a place to land? Looking for the right people to talk to?
Making their presence known.
Exactly. Getting everybody a little creeped out.
Maybe.
So, I don't know.
The point is, though, that's, that there was a lot going on just prior to the school incident.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot happening at that point.
Yeah, so like I said, this was September 16th. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to give a quick little rundown real quick. Should I do that?
I think we need that.
Just a quick rundown. September 16th, 1994, around 10:15 a.m. in Rua, Zimbabwe.
You've got it now.
Ariel Primary School. These children were out on their mid-morning break. And I came across this also. Zimbabwe, 10:15 a.m. September, 91 degrees. All right, already. Can you believe that?
A little warm.
God. Anyway, so they're out there futzing around, playing around, doing whatever they're doing. Meanwhile, in the school, you got all the teachers. Every teacher was in a staff meeting.
It's the 90s.
Nobody's watching these kids in Zimbabwe.
It's back in the good old days.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Except for some lady working in what's called the tuck shop.
The tuck shop.
Which is like a little store for the kids to buy drinks and whatnot.
Yeah, snacks.
She was the only one that was near them, I guess.
Yeah. I guess she was one of the students' mothers. I also read that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I read that somewhere.
They end up running to her first, too, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they see, in what I've read the most, 3 silvery metallic. I've read disc shape, but I also more often than not round ships, orbs, craft flying around in the sky.
And they did lots of drawings too. So there's the drawings are all pretty close.
Yeah, I mean it's all some type of what you would say a flying saucer looks like for sure.
Yeah, the ultimate. Yeah, ultimately they all look the same, like a flying saucer. Which would,
Yep. And they would, so these things, there were 3 of them, they were just flying around the sky, and they would just disappear out of nowhere, and then pop right back up somewhere else in the sky. Usually with a flash of red light. That was the most witnesses said that.
Yeah.
Red lights, right?
Like if they were, I don't know if it was like windows or some sort of like portals on the side of the craft. And they were sort of running parallel to the electricity lines too. Yeah. I read that as well, that they were sort
like
of
the
running
big ones, like like those pylons. Is that what those are called?
So not to be mistaken with like some sort of like asteroid or comet or just kind of zipping through the atmosphere there. Yeah,
they were controlled by something for sure. Then, comfy?
Yeah.
From what
you gotta stretch, man.
Yeah, stretch it out.
Get stiff.
Yeah. Then looked like these children are looking at these. At this point, a few of the younger ones, they ran away immediately. They were a little scared. I think at one point in one of the interviews with John E. Mack with the kids, she said it sounded like someone was playing a flute.
Yeah, several of them said that.
Yeah, so they sounded odd. Like these things are zipping around.
A flute. She said
a flute. A flute.
But yeah, several of the kids, because they would ask him what the sound was, because like you can go on YouTube and watch clips of the interviews that they got when the kids were little.
Yeah.
As it happened, within like, I guess he went there within like a few months. I think I saw somewhere it was like December when he showed up.
Yeah.
And he happened to just be going there for another reason.
Well, he was there. I'll tell you why.
Oh,
He was
you know.
there in South Africa.
Correcting me on air.
No. I'm giving you more info.
I know.
He was there investigating an abduction.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I believe it was some type. I couldn't get any great details. It was some type of alien rape that happened,
Yee.
and he was going to go
Yee.
investigate that.
Terrifying.
And he just happened to be over there. Coincidence? You tell me.
I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, and this guy
Probably not.
And this guy John, and I'll post some links in the description so you can see these videos if you want. He's talking to these kids. Well, let's get back to that later because we're gonna come back to We're gonna come back to Cynthia Hind. We're gonna start talking about her.
Yeah. Sorry, we diverged. There's so
jumping-
much information.
We're jumping ahead here.
There's so much information.
Yeah. So where was I? Oh yeah, these things, they're following those power lines, right? 3 of them, possibly 4. Pretty sure it was just 3. They all looked as though they were lowering, descending, if you will, to the playground. And so these kids are the ones that didn't run away. They're still watching. They're like, "What the hell is that?" That's my accent. And
It's pretty good.
Thank you. 2 of them started backing off, as though they sensed the fear. They were like, "Oh, maybe 3's a little much." So only one, about 300 feet away. What's that? About 100 yards.
Yeah.
See, football field. There's an area right next to the playground. That's like it's all overgrown. I believe it was gum trees and like thorn bushes, and that's where the known earth monsters live. Snakes, spiders, God knows what else, lions. And they knew, the children, they knew not to go there. So there was no fence, which is weird.
Yeah.
You'd think, those wild animals, Africa, wild animals, there would be some type of safety. Anyway,
Next to a children's playground area.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
that
I
would
guess
make sense.
they put the fear of God in them, and they knew not to go over there. But anyways, this is where the one that kept descending decided to land, or hovered, very close to the ground. No, there's no positive info on that. It's one or the other, 6 inches from the ground, or it landed. Either way.
I think I read that they did get some soil samples, but
Yeah.
I don't think anything was weird about
Yeah.
what they, you know what I mean? I don't
Mhm.
think anything was strange about the samples that they got. So
Yeah.
I think it may have just hovered there
Mm-hmm.
above the ground.
Yeah, and I know they came back later after this and did Geiger counter readings and all that, and there was no radiation.
But that's not always the case. Sometimes there are strange readings, right? From
100%.
different- Not
Yeah.
this one, but
Not this one. But I also did hear something about this one, dead ants.
yes.
But I only read that in one thing. I couldn't find anything else official
To,
about that. So I
sort
don't
of
know.
Verify that, like
Yeah.
another source. I did see that too. Crap, sorry. I hit
Hey, it's
the mic.
okay. It happens.
Had to scratch itch on my nose.
Scratch the beak. All right. But yeah. So you just saw that. You just saw that too, just about the dead ants. Nothing-
Lots of dead ants around.
Yeah.
So that's a little strange.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, so there's that piece of feral land. There's the open area where the kids are. And this thing is landing over there in this scrubby, brushy area.
Mm-hmm. So the ones that stayed and kept watching, they ran over there to investigate, some of the older kids. And they get there, they're looking at this thing, and out of the top of this craft, a little guy emerges, right? About 3 feet tall.
About a meter in height, yeah,
Whatever.
for our metric listeners.
Yeah. And anyways, he comes out. He's wearing what they say. He's wearing a skin-tight black suit, 3 feet tall.
All of their descriptions are the same.
Exactly the same. He's about 3 feet tall, long black hair, long, slender neck, and very large eyes. Black eyes like doll's eyes. No, I'm kidding.
And they all say slanted eyes, too.
Yeah.
Their eyes, they all make a point to say that his eyes slant like inwards.
Inwards. Yeah.
So a very, not your typical like alien, your gray sort of description.
Yeah. A little different.
A little different.
Yeah, man. Hair. I've never heard of an alien with hair, with a hairdo.
No, I haven't either. That's like a little mullet type thing.
Pop some. All right, guys, I'm going out. Pop some gel in real quick. Let me slick this back. Yeah, but then one of the kids said he looked like Michael Jackson. So look, he's moonwalking off this. Yeah. So, anyways, he moonwalks off of this thing onto the ground, which it's funny. Moonwalk. You all right?
Well, I had the same kind of like vision of this greasy-haired little cool.
Yeah, those weren't his eyes. Those are just sunglasses. He has giant shades.
This little like jumpsuit on, like
yeah, bedazzled.
But it's sure as shit. That's what he was. That's what they all described him as.
Yeah, very weird. So I mean, maybe they were just having some type of a hallucination on those power
mass
lines.
hallucination.
Yeah. But what happened here? Oh yeah, speaking of moonwalk, he got off this craft and jumped onto the ground, and like and then at this point he's just walking around. They say he just walked around. Are you picturing him moonwalking?
I got the giggles now.
Yeah.
With this thing.
He's a moonwalking alien.
Jesus.
No, but they said that this one, there's two of them to get out, but this first one, Josh he's having a fit over here.
Sorry.
This is a serious story.
I know.
No, it's okay.
I'm crunked. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Crunked right now.
Before he gets out of the ship, he's at his he's backstage in his dressing room with the lights around the mirror, getting his hair done.
It's got glitter and it's all glittered up.
Yep. Lipstick.
Moon boots.
Well, here's the thing though. Did you read this part? When so he gets down. He doesn't even realize the kids are there. He's just walking around looking at like the ground, looking at the trees. Like he's inspecting the vegetation. And these kids said he walked around as if he was walking on the moon.
Right.
Like gravity wasn't affecting him the way it affects us.
I did not read that.
He's moonwalking.
He's really moonwalking.
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'll pull it back together here in just a minute.
Yeah. Hey, you're good.
I'm laughing at this, but the thing is all the kids were absolutely terrified. When they came back, and if you watch the interviews, when they're giving their interviews, they are terrified. I'm laughing my ass off, but they were scared to death of this thing for the most part.
You would not have been laughing if you were there.
No, I wouldn't have been.
Oh, man. All right, well.
He's moonwalking.
He's moonwalking around, inspecting the vegetation, like he's, on some mission just to do that, right? Meanwhile, the kids look over at the craft again. Second little fella comes out. Looks exactly the same. He or she immediately sees the kids, right? So it notices these children.
And they're all there at this point. You have all ages between like 5 and 12-ish, roughly.
Yeah.
And they're all 60 plus of them are standing there watching this.
And they're close. They're very close, like within arm's reach, some of them.
Yeah.
So this one looks at the kids, and at this point, the other one realizes what's happening, that this crowd of children is watching him moonwalk. And so he sees them, I guess in a panic, bink, disappears, gone, just vanishes. And then him or another one that looks just like him comes out from behind the craft. That's just sitting there. So odd, right? Then So this is the part where I get a little confused. Is it the one that noticed him first that started staring at him, or is it the one that came out from behind the ship?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of that was kind of hard to, even from the quotes, trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah. So one of them just gets really close to these kids, again, within arm's reach, and he's just staring at them. These large black eyes that they said rugby ball shaped.
Yeah.
That was a common
huge
description.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Slick back hair.
Yeah. Gelled. And Paul Mitchell and
jumpsuit.
Yeah. And then they started getting these visions, the kids.
This is the really weird part because all of their, again, with the descriptions and with the way of the things happened, all of them received these weird telepathic images and messages.
Yeah, and it showed like disaster, pretty much the end of the world, just chaos.
Pretty much,
right?
Lots of nature and sort of like the bad direction that we were going as a species with our technology.
Right. Pretty much they took it as a warning that we are not taking care of this planet very well and that we need to cool it with our technology.
I would agree with them.
I think one of them said we went down a bad road and we're
continuing to go down.
Still on it to this day.
Right. That was many years ago.
Yeah.
And we're still clearly going the wrong direction.
Yeah, for sure.
And keep in mind, again, the whole time, these are kids that are coming up with this, that are getting this message.
Yeah, and then so they see these visions. They're getting even more scared than they already are. Because at that point, these things hop back in the ship. Thing takes off.
Yeah, like I read several places, like they couldn't really, like, did it fly away or did it just blink out of?
Yeah, it was kind of.
So I don't know which was going on, what was happening there. Both things could happen.
Either way.
Still terrifying.
It's very scary.
We're assuming their technology is far more advanced.
I don't know.
If they were able to do that. Maybe not, right?
Yeah. I just had a picture in my head of a little mini Elon Musk flying that thing around.
Could be.
But
their version, these people.
Yeah. So this thing takes off, and they just start. Some of them are crying. Some of them are just.
And like the time of this, amount of time this encounter, I've read just a few minutes.
About 15 minutes is what I heard
at most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Possibly even less.
The whole thing. Yeah. The whole.
It was a
thing.
pretty quick deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so they all started hauling ass back to the school. And like I said, all the teachers, all the adults, except for one.
They're having a teachers meeting or
staff
something.
meeting, yeah. And they're probably talking about. I was trying to think of a good joke there. I had nothing.
It's okay.
It went nowhere in my head. I was hoping to have something good, anyways.
I think they could hear the kids, but they just assumed it was normal play. I think I read that too. Like they were just heard the kids out there and just assumed it was normal play. Of course, a bunch of kids on the playground, they're screaming and yelling.
Yeah. So then they start hearing. Well, first they ran to the woman at the tuck shop, the sweet store. And she didn't believe him. She thought this was some elaborate ruse for them, for like a distraction. They wanted to distract her so someone could sneak in the back and grab some of them candy bars. But that was not the case. So all the teachers they started hearing this, and then they started asking what happened. They started crying, telling them all this stuff. They didn't believe him, obviously. Why would you? That's crazy. Right?
It's nuts.
Would you believe him? Bunch of these meddling kids.
Well, it'd be like, all right, I think we need to go out there and see what's going on.
Yeah.
This is a little strange.
Well, I think you had been more upset they just went where they weren't supposed to go. First and foremost. You little bastards.
The totalitarian dictator that I am.
Yeah.
I would have, What were you doing over there?
Wait, excuse me, where were you? Where did you say you were?
Yeah. They would have had to go out there and see what's going on, because especially, they'd never done that before or since that particular day.
Yeah.
So you'd been like, okay, I'm going to go out here and see what's going on.
Yep.
And I think they did, right? They did go out there.
Yeah, and obviously nothing was there. And then this started getting, some news coverage.
Oh, hang on one second.
Oh, go ahead.
I've got some quotes just from that day. I was going to read through a few of those.
Yeah.
I guess this is from some of the teachers. One of the teachers had said, we just heard them screaming and screaming. A child cannot make that up. Another would offer, I was very skeptical in the beginning, and that while they believed the children had seen something, quote, they sought a more rational explanation, as anybody would, I guess, initially. Who knows? Maybe they thought they were playing a little game with them or something, right?
Yeah. Which, kids do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more?
In mass like that, though, that's what makes it
62?
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a dozen, maybe 5 or 6 kids. But no, we're talking like every child practically out there on the playground.
Yeah. Except for the pansies that ran.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Every once in a while, as I'm looking through notes, I hope you don't mind, I'll enter some other additional information. As we're both looking through our notes, there are many for this podcast.
It's a bunch.
A lot of information out there, which we'll direct you to later.
Yeah. First, like I said, I'm going to put a lot of links to these stories and whatnot in the description of the podcast episode.
Yeah, like here's another quote, for example. It's like, again, I guess this was just from another teacher. I don't believe for a minute you could get that many kids to agree to do something like that. I really don't. I know children well enough. I just don't think that could happen. So I'm absolutely sure that something did happen there that day. You have this over and over again. So they, I think, fully believe what the kids were saying.
Yeah, for sure. Well, now, right? Then they also, a lot of the kids were saying that they thought this was some type of a local demon creature. What was it called? I'm trying to find it here. It's a very...
The Tokolosh.
Tokolosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of information on that.
That's what I was trying to find. Go for it.
Just kind of jump off to the side here for 1 second.
Yeah.
In Zulu mythology, it's either Tikalosh or the Tokolosh. I think it goes either way. It's kind of supposed to be like a dwarf-like water sprite. It's considered mischievous, and it's also like an evil spirit that can become invisible by drinking water or swallowing a stone. So we're getting into the mythology here of the region.
Yeah.
And it's basically just like a little demonic creature. And if you look it up and read up on that thing, its description is surprisingly close to what they said, which is kind of odd too. So we have a combination of something that resembles something in known mythology from the area, as well as a UFO encounter.
Right.
It's so weird.
These Toblerones, they do not have crafts they fly around in, though, right? They're just mythical creatures.
Just some sort of creature,
yeah.
Right, that's, in the area.
All right. Toblerones. Did you miss that?
I did miss that.
Instead of
this is what happens when I'm reading information from
Tikalosh.
I'm not
I called him a Toblerone.
Oh.
That's what I thought of. Hey, God, I'm sorry. I was trying.
No, I'm sorry.
Trying to get a good laugh.
I think you did. I think when people are listening, I think they're going to be laughing a lot at that.
Well, thank you. But, so not only did they see a UFO, they had contact with a being, right? And they communicated with it. Am I right or wrong? Sort of. Did they communicate though?
It communicated with them.
Okay.
Something about their eyes, like when they were talking, like something about like it was almost like a projection in its eyes. They were transfixed on it, you see, and they couldn't stop staring away from its eyes, like it was projecting that information telepathically to them through its eyes.
Yeah, and I saw one of the interviews, and she said that as soon as she broke eye contact, all those visions went away. Everything just vanished. So it was definitely something to do with little Mike. That's what I'm going to call him. So he wanted to convey that information to these children. And I wonder is it because they're children, they're the future, so they can
get the next generation, get them early.
Get them going.
And that's it should be noted also that this is not uncommon. This particular message that we as a species are going in the wrong direction with our technology.
Yeah.
So think about that for just a second. Here you've got these little kids that are telling the researchers that ultimately go there and talk to them, interview them, and their teachers, all telling them the same thing. They would have not known that this is something that actually happens to adults when they have these encounters.
Yeah.
As well. That's really weird. Mm-hmm. So you're getting a lot of, sources, a lot of different things meshing up that shouldn't be.
Right. Something
to think about.
Yeah. And as far as like stories and stuff about this stuff goes, like the Toblerone guy, whatever it is, Tolkashi,
I think that's it.
Yeah, stuff like that. The kids knew all about that local
Tokolosh.
stuff. Tokolosh. Tonalok.
Saw him on a
All right.
plane.
No, I don't want to get into that.
I did. Burbank.
We were at the Burbank airport. and
Yes.
We were in the plane.
He started some shit on one of the planes.
What do you didn't tell? He started shit.
He started shit with the flight attendant.
You know what it was?
What?
That funky Cole Medina.
Is that what it was?
She was a wild thing. All right.
I saw Kiefer Sutherland and Matthew Perry.
I saw Matthew Perry too. That is true.
I confirmed. I don't
Was
miss.
Kiefer on that same trip?
He was on the sidewalk leaving a mattress store.
All right.
What?
Kiefer,
I'm never wrong. I'm
Kiefer-
always right with these things.
he doesn't
I got
buy.
an eye for
He
this.
doesn't buy his own mattresses.
He does. He looked very, mixed up that day. He was sort of confused, and his disheveled appearance was.
He didn't know. This is okay.
We're getting off.
Yeah.
All right.
Tone Loc was in the Burbank airport.
It's going to happen occasionally. Okay. I'm sorry. What?
Was it John Wayne?
Yeah, it was John Wayne.
Yeah. Tone Loc.
Were we leaving or were we? Anyway,
we were just getting there.
okay.
Yeah.
He was starting some shit on the plane.
He was a tall black man in like
It was him.
no.
I had just watched Heat, and he was in Heat, and I recognized him.
The only movie that I consider him great in is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. The first one, the only good one. Anyways,
Sorry about that.
yeah.
We'll
So-
try to contain that for
So-
future episodes. This has been a point of
Tone Loc, Matthew Perry, and who? Kiefer.
conjecture for
Kiefer.
years
Kiefer.
now. He's
Kiefer.
constantly said that I didn't see him, and I know I did. I saw Matthew Perry in a nail shop. Kiefer Sutherland.
I think you also said you saw Shaun White on Sunset,
Who?
the snowboarder guy with the long hair at the time.
No, never saw him.
You did say that. He did say that.
No, I
Everybody.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did.
There we go.
No,
All
I
right.
didn't.
All right.
I really didn't. Back to the Ariel School UFO sighting.
Yeah.
Where do we leave off?
So
Telepathic messages?
yeah, just the messages about us.
Projector eyes?
And they're warning us about our technology and all that. I was doing a little bit of research
Ooh.
on other,
Look
well,
out.
mainly just on this, but then this also got me into like looking at
Other stories?
other stuff about, and in that that documentary, The Phenomenon, which is pretty good.
Is that the aforementioned one from earlier? What
Yes.
we're talking about?
Yep. They discuss.
Where can you find that, by the way?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
But you have to like rent it. I think it was $4 for the non-HD version. The HD version's $5. So
Extra buck.
yeah,
If you want to splurge on yourself there.
yeah, go for it. You know, it's a lot of footage from the 50s and 60s HD. So go. Anyways, they talked about. Have you heard about this? The UFOs that have been over nuclear missile silos and stuff, and
A little bit.
they hover around it, and they sometimes, every once in a while, will flash a little beam onto the hatch that you always see open up, whatever that is called. They'll do that. They'll shut down a lot of these silos.
Oh, you mean like the nuclear missile?
The missiles.
Gotcha. Not like a plant,
No.
a power plant, but
No.
okay.
Yeah, but like the missile silos. Like,
Yeah. With the
they'll
hatch where the
actually-
missiles would come. I gotcha.
Yeah, they'll sit there, hover, and these things are just going haywire. The missile silos are just going ape. Then they can't. And then one instance in Russia, for 15 seconds, these things were about to go off. Like these things, this giant one was just hovered over this missile silo, and they were trying to shut these missiles down. These things they were about to launch for like 15 seconds. Everybody was in pure panic.
Never heard this one.
Yeah, this is in, I want to say, the 80s, but I'm not sure on that.
Cold War era.
Yeah. So Russia blasting a few of those off, that would have started a whole to-do.
I don't think we'd be talking now.
No. So there's that, in which this brought me on to a little quote.
I like
which
quotes.
I think
Quotes are
kinda,
good.
This is by a guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Albert Einstein.
I don't believe so.
Albert Einstein.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Check this out. You ready for this? Speaking of nuclear,
He married his first cousin, by the way.
well, we're not talking about that here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a different show. Check out this quote. You ready for this?
Yes.
I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
I like that.
It's a good little quote. So perhaps these beings know that we're about to wreak some havoc on ourselves, and they're trying to stop it, like by turning off and on and shutting down these silos. Are they just going like, guys, cool it, stop it, or we will take these away?
I wish they would. I think we need that.
Yeah,
I think
for
we
sure.
need that.
Yeah,
if
shut
you're
'em
an
down.
advanced civilization and you're visiting this beautiful little gem floating in the cosmos, and you see these ignorant little beings, this ignorant little species constantly fighting amongst ourselves and killing each other
over nothing, really.
over nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
In the end, it's nothing.
if they're not what the movies always say, they're here to destroy us. If they're a compassionate race of beings and they want to help us out, they want to bring us into the fold, then maybe they might come down and
Yeah, some of them, but there's many different races. So
like Fire in the Sky, that story, where they really just wreaked havoc on that poor bastard.
well, I don't know. I heard an interview with him. I believe he was on Joe Rogan. Heard an interview with him. He was saying,
What's his name? Travis
Walton.
Yeah.
And he was saying that they hit him with that beam of light, whatever. He walked up to it. It wasn't going after him, really. He walked up to it.
walked into it, I guess, right?
Yeah, this thing blasted him, right? And then next thing you know, he's on the ship. And he was saying he never felt threatened. He almost felt like they were apologetic. The movie made it look terrifying, like something.
It's one of the more terrifying.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's probably the most terrifying.
Yeah. But he was saying he felt like they were trying to fix the damage they did to him.
Oh.
Yeah. And like, you remember in the movie, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, but there's a part in it, they have that membrane over him, like he couldn't breathe through this membrane.
Just thinking about that scene makes me like,
yeah, it's like over his face and his mouth. So and like in the movie, it looks very scary. These things look scary, but he obviously couldn't breathe. But he was saying in real life, what happened? He just couldn't breathe the air in the ship. So there was no membrane. It was just like he just couldn't breathe, and they fixed him.
they're not big on oxygen. They don't really need it.
I guess their atmosphere is a little different than
a
ours.
little different than ours.
Yeah. So,
well, I never heard that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take on it. If that's that's directly from him though.
yeah.
So.
And he said a lot of people don't like when he says that because people want the scary stuff.
That makes sense.
But he said he'd never felt threatened.
Because that's not what it is in the movie. The movie is that
it's scary.
It was
Frightening. Yeah. But I mean, I guess even if they were trying to help me, I think I would still be terrified.
Well, I mean, if that was closer to what happened in the movie, if that's accurate, even if it wasn't meant to be what it was, what we thought it was as being bad, yeah, that would be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let me ask you this. I was asking people this at work the other day. Let's say you're hiking. You like to hike alone in the woods.
I do.
Let's say you see a little craft. Little guy, little Mike gets out and he says, "Hey."
Little Mike.
He says, "Hey."
He starts moonwalking across the trail.
He moonwalks up to you, head over the shoulder, looking behind him, looking
Slings
at you.
that hair around.
Yeah. Pulls them shades down. You see he's got normal eyes. But he keeps them on the bridge of his nose, so he's just looking over the glasses at you. And he says, "Hey, how about you come with us? Let's go."
You want to go on a little ride?
No, you're with him. Like Richard Dreyfuss at the end of Close Encounter. Would you just abandon your life here and just go?
Probably not.
Really?
Yeah, probably not.
Wow, that was not what I was expecting out of you.
Well, I don't know that's...
What the hell do you got going on here?
Nothing. You're right. What the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
Yes, of course I would go.
There we go.
I got
All
no
right.
reason to be
Podcast
here.
over. That's how I was getting to.
And we're done.
Yep. Really, though? You'd stay?
You'd go.
I think so. I like to think I would, but I'd probably be too scared.
Well, I think, too, wouldn't that be a cool... You would have disappeared.
Yeah.
And so then there's that whole, what happened to him?
Maybe that's what happens in some of these cases.
There's, going back to the missing 411.
Exactly.
Lots of disappearances there.
Yeah.
We don't like to put a particular sort of reason on what happened or to these people, and theorize in that direction. We'd like to just kind of give the information, let you come to your own conclusions, but that's a possibility that's been put forward by many people.
Yeah. That's my theory. I think from episode 1, the introductory episode, aliens.
Aliens. Always.
Everything. Everything is to do with aliens.
Yeah. And here we have this, Ariel school case, which is just like, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, excuse me. What I was going to say was, talking about the power lines, and you said power plants earlier. Did you learn this fact also? Every single nuclear power plant in the United States, every single one has experienced some sort of UFO activity.
That's very telling.
Something's
going on
one
there.
Of them. Yeah. It's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So, the closest one to us, Oak Ridge, right? I looked that up. Bink. It's right there on the internet. Just type in your local nuclear power plant and add UFO at the end of it, and there's going to be something there.
Well, that's an interesting piece of information.
Yeah. It's odd.
Huh.
So, I guess maybe they just know. It's like that movie Mars Attacks. Remember, you fire that missile at them, the nuclear missile, and they just kind of suck it up like helium. Maybe they know it's like just a stupid thing to even be messing with, and in the end, it's not the best way to go.
Right.
So they're just maybe, like you said, we're on a beautiful thing here, planet, if you will, floating around. Maybe they want it, and then they just don't want us to destroy it before they get here, so they can destroy it themselves.
We can theorize all day and night as to what's
for sure
the motivation is here for this.
Right.
And anything would be as good as the next that you could come up with.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting.
We're screwing it up, though. We are.
Yeah.
And if I put myself in their shoes, in their little bitty shoes for just a second. If I was, watching these just ignorant little creatures crawling all over this rock and just destroying it, I'd try to figure which way would I go about this, Yeah. Would I just approach them like that and, try to put it in the heads of people that they need to do better? Or,
Yeah, it's kind of like us with ants. Like, go out in the backyard, we see this ant hill, it's wrecking our beautiful lawn. We get rid of it.
We just get rid of it.
We are in their backyard. Earth is in their backyard, and we're just pissing all over it.
Yeah.
And they're going to get rid of us. They tried nicely first.
I think they should. I think our time is. I think we had a good run.
Yeah, it's good enough.
I think so.
So what if they said we're going to destroy this Earth? Do you want to come ride with us?
All right, let's go.
All right. There we go. All right. So
just you. You can't go get any of your pals with you.
There's
can't
already,
get old Justin. He's got to have to stay.
There. There's already people there.
They've already got some.
Yeah.
Okay.
The select few. You're part of the select saved, if you will.
A couple of chicks, maybe, if just.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
Because I don't want to.
That's how that's their bait to get you on the ship. You see, like, you look in the window and you're like, oh man. And then when you get in there and the door shuts, they turn into like the whatever they really look like.
Yeah,
their real form. So these kids see these things. That's a UFO sighting, right?
Right.
And then they had contact with it, a being. That's a close encounter of the third.
It's got all the
and the first kind.
boxes checked.
Yeah,
on this one.
There is a hole,
except for abduction.
Exactly, and I believe that's the fourth kind. Which, do you want to go through this scale?
Yeah,
the J. Allen Hynek scale, who has a little cameo in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Did you know that?
Yes.
Richard Dreyfuss, remember when he gets on the ship?
Ah, yeah.
There's a dude with a beard that comes and looks at him.
Yep.
That's Mr. J. Allen Hynek himself. He was like head of like Project Blue Book and all kinds of stuff. He created all. He was a major skeptic at first, and then the more he started looking into all this stuff, he turned around completely.
Like Mr. Mack here.
John
Dr.
E.
Mack.
Yeah, but there is an encounter scale. I'm just going to run through these.
Please.
Are you familiar with these?
I am not.
So this will okay. So it's not going to bore you.
No.
Okay.
I like learning new things. That's why we're here. That's why we're all here.
So this guy, J. Allen Hynek, who is played by Aidan Gillen in the History Channel show Project Blue Book, which is very good. Anyways, he came up with this encounter scale because he dealt with all these cases and stuff, and so they got 7 types of encounters, right? Close encounters are the first kind. And this is straight from Wikipedia, right? Close encounters of the first kind is a visual sighting of a UFO seemingly less than 500 feet, 150 meters away that show, this is where it gets interesting, that show an appreciable angular extension and considerable detail. So I guess like a sighting, like, a light in the sky, that's just, you're looking at something. But if you can actually see the craft, right, that is a close encounter of the first kind. Close encounter of the second kind, a UFO event in which a physical effect is alleged. This can be interference in the functioning of a vehicle or electronic device, dogs barking, animals reacting, or a physiological effect such as paralysis or heat and discomfort in the witness. So I guess they had that one. They had that too, right?
They were kind of frozen in place.
Yep.
I think they kind of all said that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is, okay, now you have close encounters of the third kind. Not the movie. This is the real deal.
Yep.
UFO encounters in which an animated entity is present. These include humanoids, robots, and humans who seem to be occupants or pilots of a UFO. So they had that too. So far, they've had all these.
Every single one of them in one event.
Yep. Now, this is where any guy that creates something like this, right? Like the scale. We're only on the third. There's 7. We're only on the third kind right now.
Yep.
You always going to get some yahoo that feels like he needs to come in and like put his own 2 cents in. In this case, it's Ted Blocher. Blocher.
Okay.
Bloecher. Blocher. He has 6 subtypes for the third kind of encounter.
Do we need to go into those today?
I don't know. You want to? You don't have to. All right, fine. Anyways, do you want to finish the rest of these?
Yeah, the big ones, just the main sort of.
All right.
So we get an idea of what what pertains to the Ariel school, especially.
Okay.
So far we've got all 3 of those just in that top set of this big 7.
Right. Okay. So then we got close encounters of the fourth kind, and this is a UFO event in which a human is abducted by a UFO or its occupants. That did not happen.
Right.
Then we have the fifth kind, which is a close encounter with a UFO that involves direct communication between aliens and humans.
Now, see, that we get a little. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Because he was communicating with them. They could understand what he was saying, and he could communicate with us. He or she or it, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
This being.
Then we got the sixth, which includes death of a human or animal associated with a UFO sighting. Although this could be considered a more severe example of a second kind encounter. So, and the seventh, which is this is a good one. The creation of a human-alien hybrid, either by sexual reproduction or by artificial scientific methods. So,
yeah, that's.
And I guess there's a little bit of controversy over this scale. Some people say that the fourth was thrown in by somebody else. The fifth was thrown in there, but J. Allen Hynek.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
There is at least some sort of unit of measure for these things.
Right.
You have a metric that you can kind of go by.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So there's that.
All right. So that's what they got, like 5 or 6 of this deal.
Yeah.
All in one.
Tick them off. Yep. They nailed it.
Which is again why this one's so important.
Yeah.
To look into for yourself if you're going to get into looking into some UFO stuff.
Yeah. And as you do, J. Allen Hynek is a big name in that whole world. He's huge. If there's a Mount Rushmore of UFO investigators, he would definitely be on there for sure.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So, do you have anything? I saw you looking at something.
No, I'm just looking at the notes.
Okay. Yeah, and then
I'm continuing to do.
So this just started making news. The story started going around, right? And then a local, I guess maybe not really local, but she lived around there. Her name was Cynthia Hind. She would investigate. She was a MUFON. It's a Mutual UFO Network. She was a field investigator. Also worked with the BBC a little bit, I think. And she heard about this a couple days later, called the dean, what was his name, Colin Mackey?
Yes.
Yeah, called him, said, have these children draw these pictures quickly, so it's fresh on the brain. Boom, pop them out. So when I get there, I can look at them, interview these kids. And this is when she's the one that showed up with the. I heard it was her son. I'm not sure though. That did the Geiger counter results, but another BBC guy that knew how to work all that stuff. And like I said, nothing, no radiation or any type of chemical trace or anything like that.
Other than the only thing was left really was just they're recounting the story, and then those ants, I guess,
Possible ants.
Location of the.
Yeah.
So Cynthia, real quick, she had a publication. She chronicled UFO activity in, I guess, all of Africa.
Okay.
Right? Is that what that was?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
And it was called Afra News.
Yep.
And
and I have that link. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
I'll post that link as well. I will put that in the description.
Yeah, because we're definitely pulling a lot of information from her work that she did.
Mm-hmm.
And the periodicals were published from 1988 until 2000 when she passed away. And there were 22 issues. And there is a wealth of information on all of the UFO activity that's been happening in Africa in those periodicals. So we would urge you to go and check those out.
Yeah.
But that's where she's coming from. She was researching all of this stuff and basically just compiling all this information into the Afra News.
Yeah. And she heard about this. Had to be there. Had to check it out. And she did.
Correct.
Which, it's a good thing she did, because if it wasn't for her, those pictures probably wouldn't be the same. Because they're fresh.
It was a good call.
Yeah. Very good
on
call.
Cynthia's part.
So, is this going to lead into Professor Mack?
I think so.
Yeah, so this guy.
Head of psychiatry
There we go.
at Harvard Medical School. No slouch here, okay? Mack's clinical expertise was in child psychology, adolescent psychology, and the psychology of religion. He was also known as a leading researcher on the psychology of teenage suicide and drug addiction, and he later became a researcher in the psychology of alien abduction experiences.
Which got him into a little bit of heat with Harvard University. That's where he was the professor at.
They were, curious about his work there.
But, once again, he showed some of his research and his findings and interviews and whatnot, and they were like...
He was completely unbiased when he did all this.
100%.
There was
100%.
He had no leanings any particular way.
Mm-hmm.
He found that it was just a fascinating phenomena that was happening all over the world and started researching it.
Yeah. And he also, just add one more little notch onto his belt, Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yep.
Yeah, for his book called A Prince of Our Disorder. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, Lawrence of Arabia or something like that. I don't know. Who cares? We're not talking about that
Is that
right
from
now.
my notes? Did I put that in there?
No, I got it right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so he shows up, like you said, a couple weeks, month later, or something like that.
2 months later after, I think in December. This happened again in...
It's in December?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when he shows up.
Yeah. So he shows up, starts talking to these kids, and there's a bunch of video on YouTube.
His interviews, yeah.
Yeah, and you can... Me, anyway, you could tell that he was like used to talking to kids. He didn't push, he didn't prod, he just let them talk.
He actually, I'd read where critics of his actually said that he gave leading questions.
You think so? I didn't get that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't see that at all. And I think if people go and watch that, they'll see that that's not the case. I watched a bunch of those interviews because there's a bunch of them still exist. And I don't think he was asking leading questions at all. And they even, were criticizing the fact that in some shots from that footage that they were talking to him as a group. But then you saw that, and then I saw individual interviews, and they were still saying the exact same thing. And they were very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Like the flute thing,
yeah.
All of them were saying this thing was making a sound like a flute.
Mm-hmm. And he even said like maybe he was trying to lead, but I don't think when he asked her that, he said, was it a hum? Was it a roar? Was it a something?
That's all.
And she goes, she thought about it for a second, sound like a flute. It's like, so
you can tell she came up with it on her own. He was
100%.
not directing her in any way.
Yeah.
I saw that them criticizing him, and I was like, after I watched all that stuff,
yeah,
and I was like, he's not doing that at all.
Yeah, I
He's
didn't.
Pulitzer Prize winning. He's got some credentials in this. He's not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's there to find out what they experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll see that too. And they all have like this sort of like almost like a blank stare. They're not emotional. They're just sort of answering his questions. Every single one of them that I saw was doing that. So if you watch those interviews, just take note of their facial expressions when he's talking to them.
Yeah, and in that, let me try that again. In that documentary I mentioned, The Phenomenon, they, at the very end of it, if you just want to fast forward to that, if you're not interested in anything else, the kids come back to the school, and at this point, obviously they're grown adults, and they're not changing their story. They're still saying it makes them uneasy being there, and it's exactly the same story. Like nothing, nobody has ever said they made it up. So, and I guess
on into adulthood.
Yeah.
They've been maintaining the same story, every single one of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very odd.
Yep. So, yeah. I mean, and I guess at the end of it, John Mack said he believed him. Like, he couldn't sense any
no deception.
Shenanigans going on, nothing.
No deception.
Exactly. So, and again, why would they?
Right. There wouldn't have been there was no, again, you're dealing with 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds. They weren't,
Yeah, and they had no, I don't know,
mass
did we mention
conspiracy to come together.
That none of them really knew about UFOs and that wasn't part of their culture there, I guess
culturally
you would say.
speaking. It wasn't,
Yeah, they knew about that local demon or whatever, but nothing.
And I think that probably came after the fact, like them saying, the Tokolosh.
Toblerones. There you go. Yeah.
I think that sort of came after the fact that they said, well, that is one of the, I guess maybe because of their description.
Thinking the adults were saying that they're probably thinking of that. Okay.
That could have affected them if they knew about that. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that could have been, I don't know. Maybe they just were going off that.
Okay.
I don't know. So very strange.
Yeah. It's really about it. Like nothing ever really came of it. Obviously, we haven't changed our ways.
No.
So.
No, we haven't.
I mean, that's really it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and I guess this would have been as I'm looking kind of through Cynthia Hines' Afro News, because I have a couple of the pages from her articles on that printed out. If you go looking through her books, her booklets, you'll see drawings in there. Drawings have been provided that and not just in this instance where the kids provided drawings, but also some of the other drawings of the UFO activity that was happening in the area at the time. And a lot of that stuff you'll see in the drawings, they all kind of match up, which is really kind of weird. The shapes of everything and sort of the trailing lights, the descriptions of the ships, they all kind of match up. And I think the Ariel School, if you're looking for that one in particular, it's case number 96 if you should go reading, because they're all in PDF form. Like I said, we'll provide the link to Afro News, and they're all there, all of her years of work, so you can read it for yourself.
Yeah.
September 16th, 1994. So it was a beautiful day, clear and warm.
Sweltering.
A bluebird day is what they call it.
Bluebird. Well, that's more Australian.
Not
All right. The accent was off, but okay.
Bluebird.
Bluebird.
Not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah.
So, you couldn't really kind of describe it away as some sort of weather event either, because the weather was perfect that day. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and they saw an alien.
Right.
What swamp gas looks like aliens?
Well,
None.
They say swamp gas.
Well, check this out. Swamp gas. One of the biggest regrets of J. Allen Hynek was ever trying to explain away a sighting by saying swamp gas, because the government took that and ran with it. Yep.
That's where they got it from.
Yep. J. Allen Hynek.
Same guy.
He did a lot for this.
Yeah, so definitely go and read through her work there, because there's so much information in those that we couldn't possibly get to today. There's no way. Lots of quotes. and firsthand information.
Yeah, and really, like I was thinking about it, like for all the different articles and interviews and stuff, there's a lot of them, and it really is just a cut and dry story. Like you had 15 minutes, bada bing, bada boom. Like that was it. Nothing. Like that's it. Every article's pretty much the same.
Yep.
And yeah, so think about that.
Can you hear these papers shuffling?
That's all of our data.
That's
just a sound effect. There's no paper here. I'm adding that in
post
digitally.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we covered it so far.
Just kind of like
so far.
Which we can also provide this in the show notes as well. It's we would urge you to probably go and check out John Mack's book, where a lot of this information is also located, called Passport to the Cosmos.
Yes.
And we mentioned earlier too that John Mack, he passed away in 2004. He got hit by a car.
Hit by in England, right? London?
Yeah. He was crossing the street.
Unbelievable.
Don't know if that was a drunkard.
Coincidence? Or was it planned?
Yeah, he was doing a lot of work there talking about this stuff.
Yep.
Kind of bringing some attention to it.
I wonder.
Was it intentional?
They took him out.
Because he was, yeah. So, yeah, there's a really good book, Passport to the Cosmos. See if you can get your hands on a copy of that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He was, check this out. The drunken driver was heading west on Totteridge Lane. Just a very English-sounding lane. Totteridge. And the guy's name, Raymond Czechowski. The driver. Uh-oh.
Is that Russian?
The sneaky Russians.
Darn Russian.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad.
Yeah, because I would really like to have seen what, more work he would have done in this, because he wasn't finished.
For sure.
It seemed like his work was really kind of just leaving where he had started and kind of going in this direction. You know, just as I'm looking through the book here, I think this is an interesting quote from his book. Allowing for variations in the children's perceptions and artistic style, just talking about the images, the drawings, they were all remarkably consistent. As it happened, we had already scheduled a trip. This is him talking about him going there to South Africa. Unrelated to that incident, we came into the school December 2nd or 3rd. By then, some of the children had already been interviewed 2 or 3 times. I guess you were talking about the BBC at that point, had already gone in. Mm-hmm. And each one of their accounts were consistent. Yeah. Again, just reiterating the point that they were, and they have been since that time, sticking to the same story. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think even a couple of them said that's if they could relive one event from their life, that's the event, that's the thing that they would like to relive.
Yeah. Which is, if you go into it a second time, you're not going to be as scared, right? You're going to look for more, I guess, right? It's like,
yeah, because while they know what happened,
right,
they want to see it again.
Yeah,
just to
take it all in.
Take it all in again, confirm it for themselves.
Yeah,
because you're thinking about stuff that happened to you when you're 5 years old. It's like I think back on your own childhood.
The abyss terrified me.
Right.
Now, I love it.
Is it their perception as an adult being that child going back, or is it them just wanting to be a child again and see it? Yeah. And know.
I'd like to think I would want my adult brain and just watch myself, and then really mainly just watch little Mike. And try to
Little Mike.
Yeah, that's his little nickname now.
Yeah, he said they reactions were kind of a mixture of nervous fascination and attraction to great terror. Like I said earlier, you see that in their faces when they're given the interviews. It's really a fascinating case.
Yeah, in one of the interviews with John Mack, the little girl, he asked her, did she have these thoughts about the environment and human being, technology, and all that before? Anything at all, ever thinking about this before, or was it the experience? She takes her time and looks, and it was the experience after the experience. And that's the only time I've ever thought of it. So
it's really weird.
Mm-hmm. This is a
They should
odd
be
case.
doing this more often to more human beings.
Yeah, you would think so. But it's
But
just,
again, to it's kids having that, and the kids didn't know
right.
that that's happened many other UFO encounters where you get that telepathic message that we're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that again puts more validity into this story.
Yeah.
That's just really.
Yeah. Well, would you like to? Do you have anything else? Because I have during my research, I came up with a Justin's final thought / theory.
I'd love to hear it as I'm kind of continuing to look through my notes, some of which are from John Mack's book. But you can go.
If I just do you want me to read it or do you want to read it? You haven't read this yet. My final thought.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, and it's down here in all caps, right?
Is it just one sentence?
One sentence. This is how this is my theory on what happened. All the kids are liars and they just wanted some candy. Done. Mystery solved.
You got it.
Yep. All right. So stupid. That's all. That's it. I don't know. Thought that'd
You built that up.
I know.
Even before the podcast, you had this built up.
I had the laptop open. I was building it up.
And I was so ready. I thought there was like a whole page of stuff you were going to be reading there.
Just a stupid way to end this.
They're just a bunch of lying little shits.
Yeah.
They just wanted some free candy from the tuck shop.
The tuck shop.
Never heard that term until this little
I haven't either.
podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
I really, there's so many pages here laid out before me. Is there nothing else we can add to this?
let's see. I can do some more J. Allen Hynek stuff.
Let's not feel like we need to just pop away here so fast.
Let me tell you, he was born in Chicago to parents lived in Chicago.
Oh man!
1936, he joined the Department of Physics and Astronomy at Ohio State. I'm kidding. I'm not going to go into any more of that. But if you start looking into this, J. Allen Hynek's a big name. I'm going to say that yet again. But yeah, I think that's all I have, honestly.
Okay.
So.
All right. Sorry, I was far away from the mic.
Yeah.
I do have some quotes from the kids here. I think this is. Could throw in a couple more of these.
Yeah.
That you'll see. To hell with it.
All right. You guys can go find all this your damn self. Stop listening to this. What are you doing listening to this? Go find this yourself.
We've introduced you to it.
Yeah.
I think that's basically the gist of it.
Yep. All right. Well, I want to wrap this puppy up.
Yeah. Let's call it a day.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to end it with the usual, right? If you like this, go to iTunes, subscribe, rate, review.
Yeah. I'm going to put also in this, we said the show notes, we'll put this information, but I will make an Instagram posting, include books and information there of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, maybe some of the children's drawings.
Some of the drawings,
Yes.
which you can find online, I'll put them there. So go find us on Instagram, Terribly Vexed Podcast.
What about a picture? Check this out.
Okay.
John A. Mack.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of that will be included there.
I like it.
And I'll try and do that this week.
Yep.
And as well as, since I'm trying to dig through about 50 pages of information, there's some interesting quotes. I'll put those up on there too. And eventually this stuff's going to make its way to our website also.
Yeah, that's slow going. I'm still trying to figure all that out. They say it's so simple.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just an idiot.
I guess it depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah. You know what else?
And we haven't fully determined that yet with the website.
That's true. We haven't really talked about it at all. I just got it because URLs were on sale. But also, you know what's really bothering me? That's a little 13-inch Mac. There's so much stuff on that tiny screen. It's just that's another thing that really is bugging me about this computer. But
You're gonna get you a MacBook Pro.
Am I made of money? I don't know. All right.
They're only $5,000.
That's true.
What's your problem?
That's true. Guys, if you want to chip in, just send it my way. I got a Venmo. I also take Bitcoin. That's on the rise. Doge. Oh, did I tell you? You hear about Doge going up a little bit?
Sure.
Listen to this. I pumped in $20 into Doge a long time ago. I had like almost 1,800 Doge coins. They were like 0.0002 cents each.
Right.
It just hit like 30 cents the other day.
Sweet.
Nope. Because I sold it and bought Bitcoin. Because I was told Doge was a joke. I lost out on like
I really know
so
nothing
much
about
money.
it. And
I
every
don't
time
really
I try and read into it, I just am really bored.
You gloss over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really something I gloss over with. So I really don't care, and I don't think I ever will.
It's the future. Are we just at
I
that
don't like
age
it.
where
I
we
don't like
just
the future
we're
at
not
all.
going to try to...
I don't like where we're going.
Yeah.
Like those little greasy-haired aliens.
That's
I
what
don't.
little Mike was talking about. Bitcoin.
I don't like where we're going. So
Yeah.
I don't really want to look into any of that.
You know, that should be our new logo. It's like a little Mike. We should do a little Mike. You should be our mascot.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
We've been trying to figure that out. For
Created
months.
little Mike. I like it.
I do too.
All right. Yeah. So
Be on the lookout for that post on Instagram.
Instagram. That's Terribly Vexed Podcast on Instagram. Twitter too. I think. No.
We've not posted a single thing.
Yeah. We really mainly use Instagram. We probably should do more. But
The visuals are
Yeah.
handy there.
yeah. And Terribly Vexed Podcast at gmail.com with any comments, questions,
Concerns.
show ideas.
Yep.
Anything like that. And I think that about does her.
For this episode,
We'll be coming at you. We're not sure what we're going to talk about, but we'll be back with something very, very... Or did we have something?
for the next episode,
Yeah. We talked a little bit.
well, so we started with our regional stuff with the missing people,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course we jumped to the other side of the planet to get into this a little bit.
Yeah.
We may come back to the southeast because there's a lot of strange things down here in
That's
the
true.
southeast. A lot of regional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know one time I mentioned, and this was actually mentioned by Dwight because we had a question for him about the Moon-Eyed people.
Right.
So we may do an episode soon about that.
So that's what I'm going to have to learn all about. I know nothing about that.
I don't really know much either.
I think didn't you make an Instagram post about the
I
Moon-Eyed
did.
people? So
There
that's
is
up
one.
there on Instagram at Terribly Vexed Podcast. So, be on the lookout.
Something's on my freaking ear, man.
Uh-oh.
All right. Anyway, sorry.
All right. Well, that's it, I guess.
We'll see you next
Hey,
time.
goodbye from me, Justin.
Hey, and goodbye for me, Josh.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.